Imagine, if you will, the grandeur of ancient Babylon, a city teeming with life, culture, and intrigue, all flourishing under the ambitious rule of King Darius. It was within these formidable walls, amidst the hustle and bustle of daily life, that we find Daniel, a man of quiet strength, deep contemplation, and unwavering faith. He wasn't a king adorned in royal garments, nor a warrior celebrated for his battlefield prowess. Yet his integrity, his moral compass, and his commitment to his beliefs set him apart from the crowd, marking him as someone truly special. The king, a shrewd judge of character, couldn't help but notice Daniel's exceptional wisdom, his insightful counsel, and his unwavering dedication to his duties. Recognizing his unique talents and unwavering loyalty, King Darius devised a plan, a bold vision to elevate Daniel to a position of immense power, entrusting him with the oversight of the entire realm. Despite the potential for grandeur and extravagance that came with his rising status, Daniel's daily habit remained remarkably simple, a testament to his grounded nature. 3 times a day, without fail, he would turn his face towards Jerusalem, the city of his ancestors, and pour out his heart in prayer. This wasn't a performance for the benefit of onlookers, a mere display of piety, but rather a deeply personal connection, his lifeline to God, the source of his strength and guidance. His faith wasn't just a belief, it was the bedrock upon which he built his life, the unshakable foundation that defined his character. It was the guiding principle that shaped his decisions, influenced his interactions, and ultimately directed his every action. Despite the fact that he was a foreigner in a strange land, a captive far from his home, Daniel's unwavering commitment to excellence, coupled with his unimpeachable honesty, propelled him through the ranks, ultimately elevating him to the highest echelons of power within the Babylonian court. People couldn't help but notice the impeccable quality of his work, the meticulous attention to detail, and the consistent success that seemed to follow him. More than that, they recognized his incorruptible spirit, his unwavering commitment to truth and justice, qualities that were rare and highly valued in the complex world of the royal court. But even in the brightest of kingdoms, darkness lurks, hidden in the shadows, and jealousy, like a creeping vine, began to grow in the hearts of those who coveted Daniel's position, those who resented his success and plotted his downfall. They watched his every move, scrutinized his actions, waiting for him to stumble, to make a mistake that they could exploit. But all they ever saw was a man on his knees, his head bowed in prayer, seeking guidance and strength from his God. Daniel's life, in its quiet consistency and unwavering devotion, was a sermon in itself, a testament to the power of faith in action, a living example of how belief could shape not just words, but the very fabric of one's existence. The king held him in high regard, the people respected his integrity, admired his wisdom, and trusted his judgment. But beneath the surface of admiration and respect, envy was taking root, slowly but surely poisoning the atmosphere. And it is here, in this complex tapestry of power, faith, and envy, that our story truly begins, not with the clash of swords or the roar of battle, but with the quiet murmur of a prayer, a humble plea for guidance. A good man, a man of unwavering principle, placed in a position of immense power and responsibility, whose only flaw, in the eyes of his detractors, was his unshakable devotion to his God, a devotion that set him apart and made him a target. And it was in that very devotion, in the quiet moments of prayer and reflection, that the seeds of conflict were sown, the seeds that would soon blossom into a dangerous and potentially deadly plot. Within the opulent yet treacherous halls of Babylon, a silent storm was brewing. Jealousy festered among Babylon's officials, a dark undercurrent threatening to consume the light of integrity. Daniel's unwavering integrity, his impeccable record, and his favor with the king became a constant source of irritation and resentment. His commitment to righteousness made their own compromises unbearable, a stark contrast that highlighted their moral failings. Driven by envy and a thirst for power, they conspired in secret, their voices hushed in the shadows as they plotted Daniel's downfall. They were determined to bring him down, to extinguish the flame of his righteousness and reclaim their positions of influence. They meticulously searched for flaws in his work, poring over every document, scrutinizing every decision, hoping to find some evidence of wrongdoing. But their efforts were in vain. Daniel was blameless. His integrity was unassailable, his dedication unwavering. Every aspect of his service was beyond reproach. Frustrated by their inability to find any professional misconduct, They turned their attention to his personal life, specifically targeting his faith. They knew that his devotion to his God was the one thing he would never compromise, the bedrock of his existence. It was his unwavering faith that they saw as his greatest vulnerability. Their plan, a sinister scheme designed to exploit Daniel's piety. They would create a law, seemingly innocuous on the surface, that would make Daniel's unwavering devotion a crime punishable by death. They approached King Darius with flattery, showering him with praise and appealing to his vanity. They proposed a decree for 30 days, a period of enforced worship. The decree stated that no one could pray to any god or man, effectively outlawing all religious practices. All worship was to be directed solely to the king, elevating him to a position of divine authority. Anyone who disobeyed this decree, who dared to defy the king's edict, would be thrown into a den of lions, left to face a gruesome and certain death. The king, blinded by pride and seduced by the allure of absolute power, failed to see the trap that was being laid before him. He readily signed the law, unaware of the devastating consequences that would soon unfold. The trap was set, a carefully constructed snare designed to ensnare Daniel in its deadly embrace. Daniel's unwavering faithfulness, his steadfast devotion to his God, would now be used against him, twisted into a crime worthy of the ultimate punishment. The officials watched, their eyes gleaming with anticipation as they waited for Daniel to take the bait. They were certain that Daniel's prayers, his unwavering commitment to his faith, would seal his fate, delivering him into their waiting hands. They had cunningly turned his greatest strength, his unwavering faith, into a weapon against him, a tool to be used for his destruction. The law, once signed by the king, was considered unbreakable, an immutable decree that could not be altered or revoked. And Daniel's enemies waited with bated breath, their hearts filled with malice as they anticipated his inevitable fall. In their eyes, the end of Daniel, the demise of his influence and his unwavering faith, was only a matter of time, a foregone conclusion. But they underestimated the power of faith, the unwavering belief that can move mountains and defy the most insurmountable odds. The stage was set for a dramatic confrontation, a clash between the rigid dictates of the law and the unwavering loyalty of faith, a battle that would determine Daniel's fate and reveal the true power of devotion. Daniel, a man of unwavering faith and principle, lived in a kingdom governed by strict laws. He had risen to a position of prominence, earning the respect and admiration of many, including King Darius himself. But his success had also attracted the envy and resentment of those who sought to undermine him. When Daniel heard the new law, a decree designed to force him to choose between his loyalty to the king and his devotion to God, he knew instantly it was aimed squarely at him. The law forbade anyone from praying to any god or man except the king for 30 days. He could have hidden, concealed his faith, and prayed in secret, avoiding the conflict altogether. Many in his position would have chosen the path of self-preservation. But faith was not a mere convenience for Daniel, something to be put on or taken off as circumstances dictated. It was the very essence of his being, the bedrock upon which his life was built. So, as always, without hesitation or fear, he prayed openly, kneeling in his room, his windows wide open, a testament to his unwavering commitment. He faced Jerusalem, the city of his ancestors, the heart of his faith, and poured out his heart to God. His enemies, lurking in the shadows, their eyes filled with malice, saw his defiance. They had been waiting for this moment, anticipating his unwavering faith. They rushed through the palace corridors, their footsteps echoing with their wicked intent, eager to report Daniel's transgression to the king. King Darius, upon hearing the news, realized too late the trap that had been set, the insidious nature of the law he had unwittingly signed. He understood with a sinking heart that he'd been manipulated, used as a pawn in a game of political intrigue. He was devastated, not only by the betrayal of his advisors, but also by the impending fate of a man he deeply respected. He paced the throne room, his mind racing, searching desperately for a loophole, a way to circumvent the law and save Daniel from certain death. But the law of the Medes and Persians was absolute, unyielding, unchangeable. Once a decree was signed, it could not be revoked, not even by the king himself. The king's regret was overwhelming, a heavy burden weighing down on his soul. He valued Daniel deeply, not just as a trusted advisor, but as a true friend, a man of integrity and wisdom. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the ancient palace, the weight of the impending decision grew heavier. The officials, relentless in their pursuit, pressed him to enforce the law, their voices echoing in the throne room demanding justice. With a heavy heart, knowing the terrible fate that awaited Daniel, Darius, bound by his own decree, reluctantly ordered Daniel to be cast into the lion's den. The king's power, once a symbol of his authority, was now a prison, a gilded cage that held him captive to his own laws. He was trapped in his own decree, bound by the chains of his own legal system, unable to intervene and save the life of his friend. Daniel, his head held high, was brought to the den, the entrance to which loomed like a dark and ominous maw. The king watched in sorrow, his heart heavy with grief, knowing that he was sending an innocent man to his death. The law of the Medes and Persians, etched in stone, stood as an unyielding barrier, a testament to the inflexibility of human law. Daniel's fate seemed sealed as the heavy stone was rolled across the entrance of the den, plunging him into darkness. The king's trust in his advisors shattered, leaving him disillusioned and alone in his position of power. The officials' plot had succeeded, or so they believed, their faces betraying their satisfaction. At least so it seemed, as the ominous shadows of the palace concealed their treachery. But the story was far from over. The threads of fate were still being woven, and the tapestry of destiny was yet to be revealed. In the darkness of the den, surrounded by hungry lions, a different kind of power was about to be unleashed. A greater power, a divine intervention, was about to be revealed, a testament to the unwavering faith of one man. The king's hope, a fragile ember in the darkness, clung desperately to Daniel's God, the only power he believed could save him. And the world, it seemed, held its breath, waiting to see what the dawn would bring. As Daniel was led to the den, King Darius whispered, "May your God rescue you." Daniel was lowered into the pit, the stone sealed above him. Alone in darkness, surrounded by lions, Daniel did not panic, he prayed. His faith, tested in the open, now faced its greatest trial in secret. Outside, his enemies celebrated, convinced they had won. The king, however, spent a sleepless night, fasting and tormented by regret. Daniel's prayer was not desperation, but trust. He placed his life in God's hands, as he always had. The den was silent, but heaven was listening. The world saw a grim end, but Daniel's story was not finished. In the darkness, faith became his only light. The king's hope flickered through the night, and Daniel waited, trusting in the God he served. In the den, darkness pressed in and lions prowled. Any other man would have been paralyzed by fear, but Daniel's spirit was anchored in faith. He did not fight, he trusted. Then, a miracle. God sent an angel to shut the lions' mouths. The beast became calm, lying peacefully beside him. Daniel spent the night unharmed, protected by divine intervention. His faith, built over years of prayer, became his shield. The lions, meant to destroy him, became silent witnesses to God's power. Daniel's peace in the pit was a testament to his trust. He rested in God's presence, even among lions. True peace, Daniel showed, is found not in the absence of trouble, but in the presence of God. At dawn, King Darius hurried to the den, hope and dread battling in his heart. He called out, "Daniel, has your God rescued you?" From the darkness, Daniel answered, "My God sent his angel and shut the lions' mouths. I am unharmed." Relief and awe swept over the king. A miracle had happened. Daniel was lifted from the den, not a scratch on him. His faith had been his shield. The king's joy turned to justice. The conspirators who plotted against Daniel were thrown into the den, and the lions overpowered them instantly. The contrast was stark divine protection for the faithful, swift judgment for the wicked. The miracle was undeniable. Daniel's trust in God had saved him. The king's eyes were opened to a power greater than his own. The story of Daniel's deliverance spread throughout the kingdom. The events changed King Darius forever. He had witnessed a power beyond any earthly throne. Darius issued a new decree to every nation in his empire. "People must tremble and fear before the God of Daniel," he proclaimed. "He is the living God, enduring forever. He delivers and rescues." The king's endorsement of Daniel's God was unprecedented. One man's faith had shifted the spiritual landscape of an entire kingdom. Daniel's trial became a testimony for the world. Private faithfulness led to public transformation. The impact of Daniel's courage echoed far beyond the lion's den. We may not face literal lions, but we all encounter our own dens: fear, loss, pressure to compromise. The world may urge us to hide our faith or take the easy way out. Daniel's story shows us another way: courage rooted in trust. Faith is built in quiet moments, so we're ready for the storms. Families can be brave like Daniel, teaching children to stand for what's right. Trusting God is not weakness. It's the source of true strength. When challenges roar, turn to God, not away. Get on your knees as Daniel did and trust that God can bring peace and solutions. Your faith can inspire others, just as Daniel's did. The den is not the end of the story, it's where faith shines brightest. Daniel's story is a call to unshakable faith. He survived not by chance, but by trust in God. What lions are you facing? What fears roar at you? Remember Daniel's consistency, his courage, his open window. Strength comes from anchoring your soul to the living God. Don't hide your faith, let it be seen. Your trial can become a testimony. Be strong, be courageous, trust in the Lord. He is the same God today as in Daniel's time. He still shuts the mouths of lions and works wonders for those who trust him. Live so it can be said of you. He was saved because he trusted in his God. Stay strong in your beliefs. Your faith is your victory. If this story inspired you, subscribe for more stories of hope and courage.